Hi, my name is Noora Lahoud. I'm a Palestinian American from Brooklyn, New York, and I'm a senior at Boston University studying economics and philosophy.
Hi, my name is Leena and I was born and raised in Salem, Massachusetts, but I'm originally from Turkey, Palestine. I'm currently a junior at Boston University studying human physiology and journalism.
Tatreez is Palestinian embroidery. So Tatreez is the Arabic word for embroidery.
It's basically cross-stitch.
Yeah, but it's cross-stitch. So like a collection of X's that create a motif or a symbol. The first thing you must do is look for thread. Pick your colors, find your fabric, grab the right size needle, make sure you know how it feels between your fingers. I don't have a lot of family in New York, so growing up, I didn't know a lot of Palestinians or Arabs at all. But my mom especially has a lot of pride when it comes to her Palestinian identity, and so does my dad. So that is something that was passed down to me and my siblings very, very intensely growing up. So these are all little Tatreez portraits or pictures that my mom made during the Gulf War. So she had a lot of free time on her hands when she was living in Palestine. So she decided to do a lot of Tatreez, and now we have it framed in our house.
It's the exact same, actually.
Where did you get it from?
My mom got it from Ramallah.
No way.
I don't think I fully understood what it meant to be Palestinian and the pride that that holds and that I should carry with that identity. When I was asked where I was from and I would say Palestine, a lot of the responses I would get was like, oh, did you mean Pakistan? Or something of that sort, because Palestine just wasn't known and couldn't really understand why they didn't know where I'm from, especially since when I went back home, my culture was so rich, like the food we ate, the clothes we wore, the language we spoke. Then, gather all your materials and go to a friend's home. This is not a task to do on your own. You must find your people wherever they are scattered and make sure you are behind closed doors.
I first started doing regular embroidery, but then it wasn't until sophomore year of college where I actually started doing Tatreez, Palestinian embroidery. And I just saw my mom's Tatreez collection or like materials. So she had a lot of scrap, and then I decided to learn.
This is something that I really hold dear to me because it was something that my mom taught me when I grew up. And I later pursued it again when my aunt came to visit us, and she was just teaching me so many more different types of stitches that I ended up trying out and completely falling in love with the practice all over again.
Well, it's something that was always like around in my house, Palestinian embroidery on my mom's clothing or clothes that she would buy me, or like decorations on the wall. The Barbie with the Tatreez on it.
Oh my god, yeah, I've seen the Barbie.
She bought it at work. So it's another way for me to connect with my family. But I guess another way I connect is just like, I'm able to bond over Tatreez with my peers. So like Leena, for example, we can talk about embroidery. But it just also serves as a way for me to just be closer to my identity and my culture. And it's just another layer of that. So this is a full map of Palestine, Tatreez map. This is where my family's from, Ramallah. And this is Turkey, where Leena's family is from.
I think we both take so much pride in being Palestinian, and Tatreez is really one of the biggest ways to show that. Being in college, that's something I tend to do when I just need a break from the world and I need to just reflect and think on myself, on others, on the environment around me. The biggest thing for me when I do Tatreez is to preserve our history. Being able to Tatreez on like modern clothes, like this, what I'm wearing right now, this is, I embroidered on it. And just being able to put on like jeans, for example. Like that's not clothes that they wore back in the day in Palestine, but now it's just nice that I can just have it with me wherever I am.
So, and I also feel like I kind of contribute to the modernization of Tatreez as I make a shirt with like traditional Palestinian designs on.
This specific scene I recreated on a shirt that I have, and it's super awesome.
And people think it's really cool, and I love explaining that I do Tatreez and that what it is, and I love talking about being Palestinian, so Tatreez has just given me another avenue for that. Ultimately, I think it's when I feel most calm. So I think it's just been this practice of grounding myself and in reflecting on my identity spiritually and materially and physically and all the lees.
That's when the third step kicks in. You'll pick up your needle and thread to learn your Palestinian cross stitch. You'll sew in stitch after stitch that slowly transform from a bunch of little X's to a picture of a tree, of a flower, or of the colonizer's missile. Tatreez has a very specific role in the diaspora, and I think it's a way that a lot of Palestinian Americans connect with their culture, specifically Palestinian women, because historically, women were the ones who would do this practice.
Tatreez is very beautiful in that it was used in 1948 and 1967 at the time of physical act of resistance. For example, the flag of Palestine, that was banned from being raised in those time periods. Palestinian women were embroidering the Palestinian flag, for example, or the Dome of the Rock, or the Palestinian map. So being able to put that on your articles of clothing was so controversial and so difficult to do, but Palestinian women are so resilient and so strong. Ultimately, it's just fun. It's satisfying seeing how the pieces end up looking and being able to incorporate different motifs from different places in Palestine or different cities where my family historically are from has been such an interesting experience.
With Tatreez, or with the Palestinian identity, I think it's inherently political. Asserting Palestinian existence is political, and I think you can't really separate any identity from politics, let alone Palestinian identity. Another thing that makes it hard to preserve Tatreez is constant ethnic cleansing. So when your house is randomly bombed and you don't get to save any of your thobes or what you might have framed, it becomes hard to preserve it.
People don't understand how intense our history as Palestinians is and how much we've been prosecuted and oppressed. Being able to relive those moments when I am embroidering it's very humbling, but it's also very inspiring. Fourthly, you'll continue doing this with your community. You'll allow the act of being in togetherness to heal your broken hearts, to reinvigorate your sense of determination, and to recharge in a safe space. When I came to college, I was really sure of what I wanted to get out of my experience, that mostly being a community of people who can relate to me and make me feel even more empowered, embrace my identity and my culture and who I am. Coming here, I thought that it would be easier to be Palestinian. I think there's been difficulties in achieving that idealistic goal out of college.
I think one of the challenges being Palestinian American at BU specifically is the lack of community. That is something that I struggle with, finding Palestinians who have similar opinions as me. But also after October 7th, your identity as a Palestinian is somewhat marginalized, I guess, because of October 7th. Especially being an activist and being a part of SJP, it's hard because you've experienced a lot of repression.
We've had to go through being verbally harassed or online being trolled and called a bunch of horrible names like terrorist or crazy stereotypical labels for Arabs and Muslims.
After October 7th, I was doxxed and I was blacklisted onto Canary Mission, which is basically a website with a list of people and all of their information, so their emails, their social media, basically deeming these people raging anti-Semites because of their Palestinian activism.
Especially being someone who front-facing is clearly a Muslim woman, I think it's been especially difficult as a Muslim Palestinian because I think I can definitely feel when I have my kufiya on, when I have my hijab on, the stares and the glares of people when I walk down comrades and things like that.
So sometimes that can be a little disheartening and saddening because my identity, like I can't even appreciate my culture in a way that where I don't have to worry about what the university might have to say to suppress me.
Just a few days ago, an air missile struck the refugee camp in Tulkarem, my hometown, where both my parents grew up. The carnage and destruction was indescribable. I asked my dad, I said, Baba, did you know any of the martyrs? He looked at me and he said, La, Baba. No, Baba. But I knew their parents and I knew their grandparents. My heart clenched at his words. His words carried the weight of a history that spans generations, a history of persecution, of oppression, of murder, a history that has still to have justice.
You will know your task is almost complete when you realize that your body might not outlive your colonizer, but at least your stitching will.
Recently, I've been making friends and comrades who have really brought back that confidence in my roots, and I've been able to share things that have been suppressed for a while. SJP is largely an activist group, and I think being able to resist in ways that's not just protesting is very efficient for the movement.
So it's nice to have a Tatreez and tea event where we're able to just embroider and drink tea. It's something more relaxing and more chill and not as intense as maybe like a teach-in. But it's still another way to resist and another way to spread Palestinian culture and preserve our identity. It's also vital to ground people, like to remind people why we protest.
When I was younger, I hesitated to talk about Palestine and the history of Palestine. But now, I don't think I find it exhausting to talk about Palestine or our history because it's not spoken about anywhere else. So if I have to put that effort in, then I'm completely fine with that. And that Tatreez is one of the many ways that we're able to preserve our history when we are actively being ethnically cleansed as a people.
It's more lighthearted, it's more fun, but also it teaches a lot. It teaches something that you can't really learn in another way. Like it teaches a different aspect of Palestinian resistance that you can only learn through Tatreez. It's not something that I look at from the lens of other people. Tatreez is more just like something for me rather than how it's perceived. It's a way for me to have pride in my Palestinian identity, and the practice alone is something that I take a lot of pride in.
If I have kids, this is something that I want to teach them from a young age. It definitely will be still present in Palestine and more present in modern societies as people like us are reviving this tradition and sharing it with peers that aren't Palestinian. I also hope to go back to Palestine and just learn more about it directly from our elders and our people who survived the maqloubeh and the intifadas and how their experiences were doing Tatreez during those times.
I agree.
Bye.
I feel like one usually like speaks out to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the one. I do it. Oh wallah, I swear to God.
I mean, being Palestinian, like,
Stop.
Wait, let me start that over.
Yeah, nah, I'll be supernatural.
Yeah, this is like.
How long is this gonna be?
All right.
Can I do it?
Do it. Oh yeah. Sure, yeah. Right. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, camera B for B-roll.
Yeah.
Wait, is that what B-roll is?
Yeah.
Welcome to my crib. Like do like this and then go that way.
Wait, I got it.
Like science store.
Noora was there too. Yeah, that's why I'm shocked that that was it. Yeah. Yeah.